The pharmacy called during my husband's charity speech and said, "Mrs. Mercer, your husband picked up your pregnancy pills under your name this afternoon." The ballroom went silent, because I was standing beside him in a silver dress, smiling for donors, and I was not pregnant. Daniel's hand tightened on my elbow like I was the embarrassment, not the man who had used my identity to hide another woman's pregnancy for 3 seconds. Nobody moved. The Whitman Grand Ballroom was full of polished people pretending not to listen. Crystal glasses hovered near mouths. A photographer in a black suit lowered his camera halfway, confused by the sudden stillness. On the stage behind us, the large blue and white banner read Whitman Women's Health Foundation. Safe care, true names, real trust, true names. I almost laughed. The phone was still in my hand. I had answered because the caller ID showed Greenridge Pharmacy, my regular pharmacy, and I thought it might be about my migraine medication. Daniel had been standing at the podium, telling 200 donors how proud he was to stand beside his wife in the fight for women's medical dignity. Then the pharmacist said pregnancy pills, under my name, picked up by my husband. Daniel leaned toward the microphone and covered it with one hand. His smile did not change, but the skin around his eyes tightened. "Claire," he whispered, "hang up." The pharmacist, a woman with a careful voice, continued, "We just need to confirm counseling for the progesterone support and prenatal prescription. Your husband signed for it at 2:18 p.m. today. He said you were resting." I stared at Daniel. He stared back like we were playing a game I had never agreed to play. "I'm sorry," I said into the phone, keeping my voice even. "Can you repeat what medication was picked up?" "Progesterone capsules, prenatal folate, and nausea medication," the pharmacist said. "The prescription was listed under Claire Mercer, date of birth March 14th, your husband." Daniel Mercer picked it up. A murmur passed through the ballroom. Daniel's mother, Evelyn, sat at the front table in champagne silk, her mouth pressed flat. She gave me the look she used when I forgot to compliment her church friends, when I declined to cover her 4th temporary credit card emergency, when I asked why Daniel's younger brother was driving a car leased under my name. "Stop embarrassing us." That look said. I lowered the phone from my ear. Daniel stepped away from the podium. "Everyone, I apologize. My wife has been under a lot of private strain." The room changed around me. There it was, not confusion, not concern, not honesty, control. He put his arm around my waist, not gently, and turned me slightly away from the audience. "Claire and I have been dealing with some sensitive medical matters. She gets overwhelmed." My body went cold in a way anger could not explain. I had spent 8 years teaching myself not to react too quickly. Daniel hated scenes. Daniel hated questions. Daniel hated anything that made his life less smooth. I used to think that meant he was a private man. I used to think protecting his pride was part of loving him. But there is a difference between privacy and erasure. A woman at table 3 looked at my stomach. A donor's wife touched her necklace and whispered to her husband. Nora Hale, chair of the foundation board, narrowed her eyes from the second row. She did not look at my stomach. She looked at Daniel's hand on my waist. I saw everything in pieces. Daniel's thumb pressing too hard into the seam of my dress. Evelyn mouthing, "Smile." Mallory Lane sitting at Daniel's corporate table near the aisle, her pale grey dress too soft for a staff member, her hand resting low on her abdomen, her face tilted down as if she were praying. Mallory was Daniel's operations director, 29, efficient, pretty in a fragile way that invited men to behave like rescuers. She had started at Mercer Development 18 months ago, and Daniel had praised her constantly. Mallory remembers details. Mallory stays late. Mallory understands pressure. Mallory does not make everything emotional. I looked at her hand. She moved it. Too late. Daniel spoke into the microphone again. "Marriage is not always easy. Health journeys can be complicated. I appreciate everyone giving my wife grace. My wife, my health journey, my public humiliation." Wrapped in his noble voice, the old Claire would have saved him. She would have laughed softly and said, "Everything is fine." She would have carried the room so he could glide out clean. She would have waited until we were home to ask the question. And by then Daniel would have had an answer ready. I did not save him. I pressed the red button to end the call, then tapped the pharmacy number, the timestamp, and the automatic call log. My phone was angled low, hidden behind the napkin on the cocktail table beside me. I took a screenshot. Daniel's fingers tightened. Put your phone away. I looked up at him and smiled, not warmly, not sweetly, a social smile. The kind women learn when they are bleeding under silk, of course, I said. Then I opened my email and forwarded the call log to Renee Patel, my attorney, with a subject line that said, urgent, medical identity issue involving Daniel. Renee had handled my grandmother's estate and the Whitman Property Trust. She had also told me, 3 months before my wedding, to keep every document in a place Daniel could not access, at the time. I thought she was too cynical. I owed her an apology. Daniel leaned closer. What did you just send? My notes for later, I said. His smile flickered. The guests were still watching. He could not grab my phone. He could not shout. That was the danger of the public stage he loved so much. It trapped him in his own performance. I reached beneath the folded napkin and slid my wedding ring off. It did not come easily. My finger had swollen from the heat of the room, and for one humiliating second, the ring stuck at the knuckle. I twisted once, hard enough to hurt. The diamond came free. I placed it in my clutch beside my phone. Daniel saw. His jaw shifted. Claire, he said softly, don't do something dramatic because you misunderstood a pharmacy call. Did I misunderstand? I asked. He blinked. Did you pick up medication under my name today? The microphone was still close enough to catch the question. The speakers did not blast it across the ballroom, but the front tables heard. Evelyn heard. Mallory heard. Nora Hale heard. Daniel's nostrils flared. This is not the time. That's not an answer. A waiter froze beside a tray of champagne flutes. Evelyn stood. Claire, sweetheart, come sit down. You look pale. I looked at her. Do I? She took one step toward me, smiling like a woman approaching a nervous dog. We all know you've wanted a baby. There's no shame in needing help. There it was again, the story being built around me while I was still standing inside it. I had wanted a child once. Daniel and I had tried for 2 years. I had done the appointments, the blood tests, the careful calendars, the quiet crying in bathrooms when another month passed. Daniel had attended exactly 1 consultation and spent most of it answering emails. When the doctor suggested testing both of us, he said, let's not turn this into a blame exercise. We stopped trying after my second loss. At least I thought we had stopped. Now he had taken the most private wound of my life and turned it into a smoke screen. I faced the room again. I apologize for the interruption. The Foundation's work matters too much to be overshadowed by a private matter. Daniel relaxed slightly. He thought I had returned to my role. I continued. But since my name has apparently been used in a medical transaction I did not authorize, I'll be stepping away to verify the facts. The room went quiet again. Daniel's hand fell from my waist. Nora Hale stood from the second row. She was in her 60s, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and richer than several small countries. Claire, would you like someone from the Foundation to accompany you? Daniel answered before I could. That won't be necessary. I looked at Nora. Yes, thank you. His head turned toward me slowly. I did not look away. Mallory stood too quickly, then sat back down when Evelyn's eyes cut toward her. The movement was small, but I caught it. So did Nora. I walked off the stage with my spine straight and my ring in my clutch. Behind me, Daniel laughed into the microphone. It was a tight, ugly sound. Well, folks, as I said, health journeys can be complicated. Nobody laughed with him. In the hallway outside the ballroom, the music became muffled. The air smelled like lilies, cold marble, and expensive perfume. I leaned one hand against the wall, not because I was weak, because rage needs somewhere to go, and I refused to let it shake my hands. Nora stopped beside me. Claire, I'm not pregnant, I said. Her face did not change. I know. That almost broke me. I swallowed hard. I need 10 minutes. You have them. My phone buzzed. Renee Patel's reply appeared on the screen. Do not confront him privately. Preserve all records. Ask pharmacy for transaction log. Do not sign anything. Are you safe? I typed back. Public event. Safe for now. Daniel is here. His assistant Mallory may be involved. 3 dots appeared, then vanished, then appeared again. Renee wrote, turn off shared location. Change medical portal password now. Screenshot everything. I did both while standing in the hallway outside my own foundation. Gala, shared location, off, medical portal password, changed, 2-factor authentication, Moved from Daniel's backup email to my private number, emergency contact, remove Daniel. The portal would not let me do it from the phone. I took a screenshot of his name listed there. Then I opened the hidden folder in my cloud drive. Renee had insisted I create it when my grandmother died and left me the Whitman house, the foundation voting rights, and enough money for Daniel's mother to call me blessed. Every time she needed a check, the folder was titled Recipes. Inside were bank statements, property deeds, insurance records, trust documents, and every large transfer I had made to or for Daniel's family. I added a new folder, Pharmacy Call. My hands were steady now. The ballroom doors opened behind me. Daniel stepped out, still wearing his public smile. It disappeared when he saw Nora standing beside me. "There you are," he said. "Claire, we need to go home." "No," I said. A muscle jumped in his cheek. "Excuse me, I'm staying until the gala ends." His eyes dropped to my left hand, empty for the first time that night. He looked afraid, not sorry, afraid. That distinction mattered. He lowered his voice. "You have no idea what you're doing." I looked through the narrow opening of the ballroom doors. Mallory was standing beside our table, one hand pressed against the back of a chair, her face pale. Evelyn was whispering furiously into her ear. I looked back at my husband. "You're right," I said. "I don't know everything yet." Daniel exhaled, almost relieved. I slipped my phone into my clutch. "But I will." Daniel drove home in silence because he did not trust himself to speak in front of the valet. I sat in the passenger seat with my clutch on my lap, my phone inside it, recording. The city slid past the windows in gold and black, restaurants glowed, couples crossed streets holding hands. A woman in a red coat laughed into the cold night air with her whole body, and I envied her for one clean second, not because she looked happy, because she looked unobserved. Daniel gripped the steering wheel. "Turn that off." I looked out the window. "Turn what off?" "Don't play stupid. I'm not playing anything." He laughed once. "You think you're clever because you embarrassed me in front of donors. You embarrassed yourself." His head snapped toward me. "I was trying to protect you." That sentence had carried most of our marriage on its back. I paid the mortgage to protect us from stress. I covered Evelyn's expenses to protect Daniel from family guilt. I hosted dinners when he forgot birthdays, sent gifts under both our names, smoothed over missed calls, lied to board members, ignored lipstick on a collar once because I wanted to protect my peace. Protect meant silence when Daniel said it. I did not answer. He pulled into the driveway of the Whitman house. He still called it our marital home, but the title had never had his name on it. My grandmother had been loving, elegant, and ruthless about paperwork. She adored Daniel when we married. She still refused to add him to the deed. "A house can hold a marriage," she told me, "but never let a marriage swallow a house." The porch lights came on automatically. Daniel turned off the car and sat still. "This is what happened," he said, using the calm voice he used with investors. "Mallory picked up something for a cousin. The pharmacy mixed up the account. I used your name because your account was already on file. It was convenience, not betrayal." I turned to him slowly. "Your story is that you used my medical account to pick up pregnancy medication for Mallory's cousin." His mouth tightened. "Don't twist it." I repeated it. "Claire, you were emotional tonight." "No, I was informed." He got out of the car and slammed the door. I waited, saved the recording, uploaded it, and followed. Evelyn was already inside. Of course she was. She had a key, because Daniel had given her one without asking me. She stood in my foyer under my grandmother's antique mirror, still wearing champagne silk. Her expression sharpened into something colder now that no donors could see her. "You made a spectacle," she said. I set my clutch on the entry table. "Good evening to you too, Evelyn. This family has supported you through very difficult times." I looked at her. "What difficult times?" Her eyes flicked to Daniel. He loosened his bow tie. "Mom, not now." "No," I said. "Let her finish." Evelyn lifted her chin. "The baby. Disappointments. The mood swings. The way you disappear into work." Daniel has been patient. I felt the sentence land exactly where she aimed it. Once, it would have worked. I would have defended myself. I would have explained grief. I would have said my miscarriages were not mood swings. I would have cried. And then Daniel would have used my tears as proof. I picked up my phone instead. "Did you know Daniel picked up pregnancy medication under my name today?" Evelyn blinked. A wife should not interrogate her husband in front of strangers. That's not an answer. Daniel threw his keys into the bowl by the door. Enough. No, I said, that word is mine tonight. He stared. I turned to Evelyn. Did you know? She looked away. There are silences that hide ignorance, and there are silences that hide participation. Evelyn's was the second kind. I breathed through my nose. I'll take that as yes. You don't understand what men face, she snapped. Daniel is under pressure. He has employees, investors, a family name. You stand beside him. Claire, that is what wives do. What did Mallory need my name for? Evelyn's face hardened. Watch your tone. Daniel stepped between us. Mallory is not the issue. I almost smiled. She never is, according to you. His voice dropped. You don't want to start accusing a pregnant woman of something ugly. The room went very still. He heard himself a second after I did. Pregnant, not cousin, not mix-up, not mistake. Pregnant. I unlocked my phone and typed one note. Daniel confirmed Mallory pregnant, 11:42 p.m. Evelyn present. Daniel saw my thumb move. What are you writing? A grocery list. He lunged for the phone. I stepped back. Try that again, I said, and I call the police from the house phone. He froze. Evelyn gasped like I had slapped him. Daniel spread his hands. Look at you. This is what I mean. You're paranoid. Then you won't mind me verifying it. Verifying what? The pharmacy transaction. His face changed, small, quick, gone, but I saw it. I'll go tomorrow morning, I said. I'll ask for the transaction log attached to my account. Daniel scoffed. They won't give you anything. They will if the prescription was under my name. He looked toward the stairs, then back at me. Claire, listen to me. If you turn this into some legal crusade, you will hurt people who don't deserve it. Who? He did not answer. I nodded. Mallory. Evelyn stepped forward. That girl is carrying a child, and I am carrying my own name, I said. Apparently everyone forgot it belongs to me. For the first time in 8 years, I walked past both of them and went upstairs without asking if anyone wanted tea. I locked the bedroom door. Daniel knocked once. Hard. Open the door. No, this is my bedroom too. This is my house. The silence after that was almost worth the pain that came before it. He did not knock again. I slept for 2 hours in pieces. At 5:30 a.m., I woke with my jaw aching and my phone full of messages. Some from donors, some from board members, 3 from Jenna, my closest friend, each more furious than the last. Jenna. Are you safe, Jenna? I swear if he used the miscarriage thing to cover himself I will bury him in a tasteful non-profit approved way. Jenna, call me when awake. Do not let him make you explain your pain to him. I smiled for the first time since the call. Then I saw Daniel's text. Daniel, we need to present a united front. Do not go to the pharmacy. I will handle it. A second message followed. Daniel, I love you. Don't ruin us over a mistake. The word looked thin on the screen. At 8:05 a.m., I was parked outside Greenridge Pharmacy. It was a small independent pharmacy tucked between a bakery and a dry cleaner, the kind of place with seasonal wreaths in the window and handwritten signs about flu shots. I had used it for years because my grandmother had used it, and because the staff knew me well enough to ask about migraines without shouting medication names across the counter. The bell over the door rang when I entered. A woman behind the counter looked up. She had dark hair in a low bun and tired, kind eyes. Her name tag read Alicia. Recognition crossed her face, then concern. Mrs. Mercer. Claire, I said. Please call me Claire. She swallowed. Claire, I was hoping you would come in. That sentence told me more than I wanted to know. I stepped closer to the consultation window. I need the transaction record for the medication picked up under my name yesterday. Alicia looked toward the back shelves, then lowered her voice. I can print the patient transaction record attached to your profile. I cannot release anything outside your profile without proper process. I understand. And Claire, yes, I'm sorry. My throat tightened. Print it. While the printer hummed, I looked at the candy display beside the register. Peppermints, chocolate bars, strawberry lollipops, ordinary little things in an ordinary little store where my name had been stolen at 2:18 p.m. on a Thursday. Alicia slid the papers across the counter. Patient, Claire Mercer. Medication, progesterone capsules, prenatal folate, doxylamine pyridoxine, authorized pickup, Daniel Mercer. Relationship, husband signature, D. Mercer pickup time, 2:18 p.m. His signature sat at the bottom in black ink, not a mistake. Not a cousin, not convenience. His hand, my name. I took a picture, then another. Was he alone? Alicia looked down, my pulse slowed. Tell me what you can, I said. She took a careful breath. A woman came in with him. What did she look like? I should be careful, of course. Alicia glanced toward the security camera in the corner. Grey coat, blonde hair, early 30s maybe. She seemed nauseous. He did most of the talking. My hand closed around the papers. Did he say anything about me? Alicia hesitated. Please. He said you were resting at home and too emotional to come in. The floor felt unsteady, but my voice held. Anything else? Alicia looked me directly in the eye. He said, my wife doesn't need to know every detail. Just put it under the usual account. There it was, the sentence that stripped away the last soft excuse. I folded the record and placed it in my bag. I need to preserve any footage from that time, I said. My attorney will send a formal request. Alicia nodded immediately. Send it today. Our system overwrites after 30 days. I will. The bell rang behind me. For one foolish second, I thought it might be Daniel. It was not. Mallory Lane walked into the pharmacy wearing sunglasses and a pale grey coat. She stopped when she saw me. Her face went white. My hand stayed on the transaction record inside my bag. Mallory recovered first. She touched her stomach, not subtly this time. Claire, she said softly, you shouldn't be here. I looked at her coat, then at her hand, then at the pharmacy counter where my name had been printed on her need. No, I said, that's where you're wrong. Her lips parted. I should have been here yesterday. Mallory left the pharmacy without picking up whatever she had come for. She did not run. Women like Mallory rarely ran when someone could see them. She moved carefully, one hand on her stomach, chin lowered, sunglasses hiding her eyes though it was raining outside. Alicia watched her through the front window. That was her. She asked. Yes, I'm sorry, she said again. Don't be sorry, I said. Be precise. Her expression changed, not offended, focused. Your attorney should request the transaction log, signature copy, and preservation of video from 1:45 to 2:30 p.m. yesterday. If there was a prescription transfer or electronic note attached, ask for that too. I nodded. Thank you. And Claire, I paused at the door. Alicia lowered her voice. Check your medical portal. Pharmacies usually receive prescriptions from somewhere. I stood in the rain outside Greenridge Pharmacy and felt the story widen. Daniel had not walked into a pharmacy and magically produced medication. A clinician had prescribed it. A portal had recorded it. An insurance claim might have processed it. My name had moved through systems while I stood at a gala telling donors that women deserved control over their medical information. The irony was so sharp it almost steadied me. I got into my car and locked the doors. My medical portal required the password I had changed the night before. Two-factor authentication went to my phone now, not Daniel's backup email. I entered the code and opened my records. For a moment, nothing looked strange. Migraines, annual blood work, a dermatology referral, my last reproductive endocrinology note from 2 years ago, the one I still could not read without feeling like I had swallowed glass. Then I clicked upcoming appointments. There it was, Greenridge Women's Clinic, prenatal follow-up, patient, Claire Mercer, scheduled, Monday, 9:30 a.m. Provider, Dr. L. Samuels. I stared at the screen until the rain blurred through the windshield. Prenatal follow-up, not consultation, not mistake, follow-up. I clicked visit history. 2 weeks earlier, initial prenatal intake. Patient reported missed period, nausea, fatigue, patient accompanied by spouse, insurance verified. Pharmacy, Greenridge Pharmacy. I had been in Chicago that day, presenting a maternal access proposal to a hospital board. Daniel had called me at lunch and asked where I kept my insurance card because he needed to update our family file. I had told him it was scanned in the shared household folder. The shared household folder. I closed my eyes. I had built that folder to make our life easier. Insurance cards, passports, utility bills, tax documents, house maintenance contracts. Daniel never remembered where anything was. I used to joke that I was his external hard drive. I had not understood how literally he would take that. My phone rang. Daniel. I let it ring. He called again. I declined. A text arrived. Daniel, Mallory says you ambushed her at the pharmacy. What the hell are you doing? I typed, verifying facts. His reply came fast. Daniel, you are harassing a pregnant woman. I looked at the portal. Again, pregnant woman, my name. I wrote, which pregnant woman? Daniel, your cousin's friend. The typing bubble appeared, disappeared, appeared again. No message came. I took screenshots of every page: appointment, visit history, insurance verification, pharmacy listed, emergency contact. Daniel Mercer, authorized to receive information. I clicked the authorization tab. A document was uploaded 16 days earlier. Temporary medical information release. Patient signature, Claire Mercer, authorized recipient. Daniel Mercer. Scope, reproductive care, pharmacy coordination, insurance communication, family planning support. My signature appeared at the bottom, except it was not mine. It looked like mine from 10 feet away. The C was too sharp. The W in Whitman, where I still signed my middle name on legal documents, was missing entirely. Whoever copied it had copied from a casual receipt, not a legal signature. I sent the screenshots to Renee, then I called her. She answered on the first ring. Tell me you're not alone with him. I'm in my car, locked doors, outside the pharmacy. What did you find? I told her. Renee did not interrupt. That was one reason I trusted her. She never filled silence with panic. When I finished, she said, this is no longer only marital misconduct. This is potential medical identity theft, insurance fraud, forged authorization, and possibly a larger financial setup depending on what he intended to do with the records. My fingers tightened on the steering wheel. Financial setup. Claire, why would he need you listed as pregnant? To hide Mallory. That explains the pharmacy. It doesn't explain the formal authorization, insurance verification, and follow-up appointment under your name. That is infrastructure. People create infrastructure when they plan to use it more than once. I looked at the clinic appointment again. What should I do? Do not cancel the appointment yet. Renee, listen to me. If you cancel it, they will know you have access. First, we preserve, then we correct. I'm sending a letter to Greenridge Women's Clinic and Greenridge Pharmacy today demanding preservation of all records, camera footage, intake forms, signatures, ID scans, portal access logs, and communication notes. You are not accusing anyone publicly yet. You are securing your own name, my own name, I repeated. Yes, it sounded dramatic until I looked at the screen again and saw a pregnant life being built under it without me. Renee continued, I also want you to send me the deed to the Whitman house and your foundation voting documents. Why? Because I remember your grandmother's trust language. There is a family health initiative clause tied to board succession and household grants. It should not give Daniel control. But I want to confirm he cannot use a claimed pregnancy or spousal medical condition to push for temporary authority. I had forgotten that clause. My grandmother had created the foundation after losing her sister to untreated pregnancy complications in a rural county. The trust funded emergency grants, clinic partnerships, and family health projects. When I married Daniel, he became eligible to sit on certain advisory panels as my spouse, but only through my authorization. He had always wanted a larger role. I had always said no, not because I did not love him, because Daniel liked applause more than service. Renee, I said slowly, Daniel asked me 3 times this year to let him chair the family expansion initiative. I remember, I said no, and last night he used the phrase health journey in front of donors. Yes, Renee was quiet for half a second. Send me everything. I did. Then I drove to Greenridge Women's Clinic. I did not go inside at first. I parked across the lot beside a maple tree and watched the front entrance. The clinic was modern and soft-looking, all pale brick and glass, with a sign that promised compassionate care. Pregnant women walked in with partners carrying water bottles and ultrasound folders. A grandmother helped a young mother with a stroller. Ordinary tenderness moved around me like a language I used to speak at 10:12 a.m. Mallory walked out. She was no longer wearing the grey coat. She had changed into a cream sweater dress under a camel coat, her hair loose, her face uncovered. Daniel followed her. He had one hand at the small of her back. A sound came out of me before I could stop it. Not a sob, not a laugh, something smaller and uglier. They paused under the awning. Mallory said something. Daniel bent his head toward hers, not like a Man comforting a colleague like a man already living another life. I lifted my phone and took 3 photos through the windshield. Daniel looked up for 1 second. I thought he saw me. A delivery van pulled between us. When it moved, Daniel and Mallory were walking toward his car. My car was still running. My hands were on the wheel. I could have followed them. I could have rolled down the window and shouted. I could have given Mallory the scene she probably expected from a betrayed wife. Instead, I opened my calendar and added an event, Monday, 9:30 a.m. attend appointment listed under my name. Then I drove to Renee's office. Renee Patel worked out of a renovated brick building downtown, not one of those glass towers Daniel admired. Her conference room had no unnecessary shine, just a long wooden table, a pitcher of water, and a wall of framed licenses. She met me at the door herself. "You look like you haven't eaten," she said. "I found them at the clinic together. Sit." I took pictures. "Good, sit." I sat. She placed a yellow legal pad in front of me. "We are going to build a timeline, not emotions first. Timeline first, emotions later." That was exactly the sentence I needed. We began with the gala call, then the pharmacy record, then the portal, then the forged authorization. Then Daniel's text accusing me of harassing Mallory, then the photos outside the clinic. Renee wrote with neat, brutal handwriting. When we reached the shared household folder, she looked up. Who had access? Daniel and me. Anyone else? No, maybe his mother if Daniel shared it. Did it include your social security number? For taxes? Yes. Insurance card? Yes. Driver's license? Yes. She exhaled through her nose. We lock everything today. I already changed the medical portal. Good. Now bank accounts, cloud storage, credit cards, house security, foundation files, and your phone plan. If he is willing to forge a medical authorization, he is willing to read your messages. The sentence landed cold. Daniel had always known when I was upset before I told him. I used to think that meant he understood me. Maybe he had just been watching better than I knew. Renee opened a folder. There's one more thing. I looked at her. She turned a page toward me. This is a copy of the Family Health Initiative clause from your grandmother's trust. Daniel cannot control your assets through a pregnancy, but if you were medically incapacitated, and if he had a valid reproductive care authorization plus spousal emergency status, he could petition for temporary administrative access over foundation health initiatives in your absence. In my absence, I repeated, not ownership, access, enough to move funds, award contracts, or redirect a project if nobody challenged him quickly. My stomach turned. Daniel's company had been chasing a clinic construction contract for months. He had asked me to consider Mercer Development as a facilities partner for a rural maternal care expansion. I had refused because it was a conflict of interest. Renee watched my face. There it is. He wasn't just hiding Mallory. No, he was building a version of me that could be used. Her voice softened. Yes. I looked down at the forged signature, my stolen name, my stolen medical body, my stolen grief repackaged as instability. Something inside me did not shatter, it aligned. What do I do first? I asked. Renee slid a checklist across the table. First, she said, you stop feeding the machine. The first account I closed was not romantic. It was a credit card that should have made it easier. It did not. The Mercer family platinum card had been opened 4 years earlier after Evelyn called Daniel in tears from a boutique hotel in Charleston, claiming her wallet had been stolen. It had not been stolen. She had left it in a spa robe and recovered it 2 hours later. By then Daniel had already told me his mother felt unsafe traveling without emergency support. Just add her as an authorized user, he said, for peace of mind. Peace of mind cost me $18,412 the first year. Spa fees, restaurant charges, a chair Evelyn said was practically medical because her back hurt, flights for Daniel's brother, a golf membership Daniel insisted was networking, a hotel suite in Miami during a difficult family weekend I had not attended. I used to pay the balance and call it family harmony. Now I sat across from a bank manager named Patrice and watched her remove Daniel, Evelyn, and Daniel's brother from every card tied to my personal credit. Do you want new card numbers issued? Patrice asked. Yes. Do you want online access reset? Yes. Do you want us to require verbal password verification for phone inquiries? Yes. She gave me a sympathetic look that made me wonder how many women sat in her office and quietly dismantled marriages one account at a time. "We can also put a note on your profile," she said. "No information released to spouse or family members." "Please do." My phone started ringing before I made it back to the parking lot. "Evelyn." I let it go to voicemail. Daniel called next, then Evelyn again, then a number from Daniel's office, then Daniel. I sat in my car, plugged in my phone, and listened to Evelyn's voicemail through the speaker. "Claire, I am at lunch with Marjorie and the card was declined. This is humiliating. I don't know what little point you are trying to make, but you need to call the bank immediately. Daniel is furious. You are punishing the whole family because of your jealousy." I saved it. Then Daniel's voicemail. "Undo whatever you did. Now, Mom is stranded at the restaurant." Stranded at a restaurant with valet parking and a $400 handbag. I saved that too. A text came from him. "Daniel, you are escalating this beyond repair." I typed, "You forged my signature on a medical release." He replied, "I did what I had to do because you make everything impossible." There it was again. His confession never arrived as a confession. It came dressed as blame. I screenshotted it. Next was the phone plan. Daniel had insisted we combine accounts early in our marriage because married adults don't need separate systems. The carrier representative helped me move my number to a private account and remove shared device access. He asked if I wanted location sharing disabled at the carrier level. Yes, I said. Then cloud storage, new passwords, new recovery email, new security questions Daniel could not guess. Not my grandmother's maiden name, not our first dog, not the street where we met. I chose answers that were not answers at all, saved them in a password manager, and felt strangely alive. At noon, Renee called, pharmacy preservation letter sent, clinic letter sent. I also sent a notice to Daniel instructing him not to destroy documents. How did he take it? He called my office within 6 minutes and told my assistant you were having an episode. I closed my eyes. Of course he did. My assistant told him we communicate with opposing parties in writing, despite everything. I laughed. Good, Renee said. Keep laughing when you can. It annoys men who rely on fear. I cancelled the cards. I know. How? His attorney called. I sat up. He has an attorney already. He has a friend with a law degree who used words like marital alienation and emotional distress. I told him to put his concerns in writing. Is that bad? No. It means Daniel thought you would cry in the kitchen for 3 days. Instead, he is learning what administrative consequences feel like. Administrative consequences. That phrase carried me through the rest of the afternoon. I changed the alarm code at the house. The security company asked if I wanted all existing user codes deleted. I thought of Evelyn standing in my foyer like she owned the mirror, Daniel entering rooms without knocking, Mallory perhaps imagining nursery colors in a house my grandmother had protected for me. Yes, I said, delete all existing codes. At 2:37 p.m., Daniel called 17 times in a row. I was at the foundation office, sitting behind my desk with the door closed, building a digital timeline. The gala staff moved outside my office in tense whispers. Nobody knew what to say to me. That was fine. I did not need comfort from people still deciding whether my humiliation was gossip. Nora knocked once and entered with 2 coffees. I brought the strong one. She said, I may love you, you may need to. She placed the cup on my desk and sat across from me. Daniel called 2 board members this morning. I looked up. What did he say? That you are experiencing a private reproductive health crisis and may be reacting unpredictably. My hand tightened around the coffee. Nora continued. He suggested postponing your signature authority over next quarter's rural clinic grants until you feel stable. There it was. Renee had been right. Daniel was moving while pretending I was the storm. What did the board say? I said any request affecting your authority must be submitted in writing with evidence and reviewed by counsel. Then I asked whether Daniel had medical proof he was authorized to discuss your reproductive health. I stared at her. She sipped her coffee. He ended the call. My throat ached. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Nora set a folder on the desk. There is an emergency board meeting Monday morning. He pushed for it through Thomas and Elaine. They are worried about scandal. Scandal makes donors nervous. Truth should make them angrier. It should. But donors are human. Some prefer quiet lies if the chairs are comfortable. I opened the folder, Emergency Governance Review. My name appeared in the second paragraph. Daniel was trying to turn the foundation into a courtroom where I arrived already labeled unstable. I took a breath. I'll be there, I know, Nora said. Bring receipts. I have actual pharmacy receipts. Her mouth twitched. That will do. At 5:10 p.m., I went home. Daniel was waiting on the porch. He had changed from his gala tux into jeans and a navy sweater. The outfit was strategic. Soft husband, tired husband, the man I married, or the version of him I kept trying to find under the man he had become. He stood when I reached the steps. My code doesn't work. I changed it. His eyebrows lifted. You changed the locks on our house. The locks are the same. The codes are different. Claire, Daniel. He looked past me toward the street, as if checking whether neighbors could hear. This is insane. You used my medical identity. He rubbed his face. I used your pharmacy profile. That is not the same thing. My medical portal has a prenatal appointment listed under my name. His hand stopped. I watched him decide how much I knew. That was the awful intimacy of the moment. I could see the machinery behind his eyes because I had lived with it for 8 years. Daniel was not stupid. He was adaptive. When one story failed, he reached for another. He lowered his voice. Mallory needed help. With my name, she has complicated insurance. With my body, that's dramatic. No, dramatic is telling donors I'm unstable while your pregnant mistress sits at our table. He flinched at the word mistress. Good. Don't call her that. What should I call her? Your cousin's friend. His jaw tightened. She is pregnant and scared. And I am not pregnant and furious. You don't get to punish a child. I'm not. I'm protecting myself from adults. He stepped closer. You cut off my mother's card. Yes, she was humiliated in public. I tilted my head. How terrible for her. His eyes hardened. I don't like this version of you. For a strange second, that hurt more than mistress, more than fraud, more than the hand on Mallory's back outside the clinic, because I had spent years editing myself into a version he liked, softer, quieter, useful, forgiving. Before he asked, I reached into my bag and pulled out the printed pharmacy receipt. I don't like your signature on my pregnancy medication, I said. His gaze dropped, the color drained from his face. I held the paper between us. You told the pharmacist I didn't need to know every detail. He said nothing. That's over now, I said. I need to know every detail. Behind him, a car turned into the driveway. Evelyn stepped out of the passenger seat. Mallory Lane sat behind the wheel. Daniel closed his eyes for half a second. I looked at all three of them on my porch, then I smiled. Wonderful, I said. Everyone involved is here. Mallory's hand moved to her stomach. Evelyn lifted her chin. Daniel looked at me like I was supposed to be afraid of numbers. I unlocked my phone, opened the voice recorder, and held it at my side. Come in, I said, but choose your words carefully. I did not let Mallory inside. That was the first boundary. And it landed harder than I expected. She stood on the porch with one hand resting on her stomach, the other gripping the strap of a cream leather purse. Her eyes widened as if I had denied shelter to a child in a snowstorm instead of refusing entry to the woman who had used my name at a prenatal appointment. Evelyn made a sharp sound. Claire, don't be cruel. I'm not being cruel, I said. I'm being accurate. Daniel is my husband. You are his mother. Mallory is not part of my household. Mallory's lower lip trembled. It was beautifully done, not too much, just enough to make Daniel turn toward her. She shouldn't be standing out here, he said. She shouldn't have come. We need to talk like adults. Adults don't forge medical releases. Evelyn's face flashed with panic before she covered it with outrage. Mallory saw the flash too. Her expression tightened. That was when I understood they were not united by love or loyalty. They were united by risk. Each of them knew a different piece of the truth, and each was afraid the others would say too much useful. I opened the front door wider and looked at Evelyn. You can come in. Daniel can come in. Mallory can wait in the car. Mallory whispered. Daniel, I almost admired the precision. His name is a plea. His name is a leash. Daniel looked at me. Claire, don't do this. The choice is yours. He stood there, jaw tight, caught between the wife whose house he needed and the pregnant woman whose devotion fed his ego. For the first time, he chose the house. Wait in the car, he told Mallory. Her face changed so quickly I would have missed it if I had blinked. The softness vanished. Anger looked out through her eyes, clean and bright, then she lowered her lashes again. Of course, she said. She walked back to the car. Evelyn swept past me into the foyer like she still had a key. Daniel followed. I shut the door and did not offer coffee. We sat at the dining table my grandmother had bought in Vermont before I was born. Daniel chose the chair at the head of it out of habit. I looked at him. He looked at the chair, then stood and moved to the side. Another small loss, Evelyn noticed. Her mouth tightened. Daniel placed a folder on the table. I came to apologize. I looked at the folder. Apologies don't usually come with paper. This one needs clarity. Then start with words. He clasped his hands. I should have told you Mallory was pregnant. Evelyn inhaled sharply. I kept my face still. Is the child yours? Daniel's eyes flicked toward the window, toward the driveway, toward Mallory. Yes, he said. There it was. 8 years of marriage ended in one syllable. Though the paperwork would take longer, Evelyn reached for my hand. I moved it before she touched me. Claire, she said, these things happen in marriages more often than people admit. I stared at her. Pregnant mistresses happen. Loneliness happens. Men make mistakes when they feel unwanted. Daniel looked down. I almost laughed. He had cheated, forged my name, lied to donors, weaponized my miscarriages. And somehow Evelyn had found a way to make him neglected. Did you know? I asked her. She pressed her lips together. Before the gala, I said, did you know Mallory was pregnant? Evelyn's silence answered. Did you know Daniel used my name? That was not my decision, not my question. Daniel cut in. I made the decision. Why? Mallory's insurance situation was complicated. That's not enough. It was temporary. Still not enough. His controlled expression cracked. Because if her name showed up, people would ask questions. She works for me. I am married to you. We were trying to protect everyone until we knew what to do. Everyone. I repeated. You mean yourself. I mean the child. No, if you meant the child, you would have used honest records so the child's mother received honest care. He looked away. Evelyn said, there is no need to speak like a prosecutor. There is every need. Daniel pushed the folder toward me. This is how we fix it. I did not touch it. What is it? A temporary privacy agreement. We all take a breath. No public accusations. No contacting my office. No going to the clinic. No harassing Mallory. I went to my pharmacy. You scared her. She should be scared. Evelyn slapped her palm on the table. That is an ugly thing to say about a pregnant woman. I turned to her. A pregnant woman helped steal my medical identity. Her pregnancy is not a shield against consequences. Daniel's face hardened. Read the document. No, Claire. You can email it to Renee. His mask slipped. Renee Patel is not part of this marriage. Neither is Mallory. But she's in the driveway. Evelyn stood. I will not sit here while you insult the mother of my grandchild. There it was. Grandchild, not possible grandchild. Not mistake. Not crisis grandchild. You've already chosen her. I said. Evelyn looked at me like I was slow. There is a baby. There was a wife. Daniel flinched. Good. I opened the folder with one finger and turned the first page without moving it closer. Temporary medical authorization and mutual privacy agreement. The language was soft at first. Respect, healing, confidentiality, emotional distress, family unity. Then it sharpened. I would agree not to contact Greenridge Pharmacy or Greenridge Women's Clinic directly. I would acknowledge that Daniel had acted as my spouse in good faith. I would temporarily authorize Daniel to manage communications involving reproductive care, insurance claims, and family health-related foundation inquiries. I would refrain from making statements that could harm Daniel Mercer, Mercer Development, Mallory Lane, or any affiliated family health initiatives. I looked up. Slowly Daniel's face had gone still. You wanted me to sign away the right to investigate my own stolen medical record. That is not what it says. That is exactly what it says. It protects all of us. No, it launders what you did, Evelyn snapped. You always think in legal terms because your grandmother raised you to distrust family. My grandmother raised me to read before signing. I took pictures of every page. Daniel reached for the folder. Stop. I lifted my phone higher. Why? It's just clarity. His chair scraped back. You are turning into someone I don't recognize. I'm turning into someone you can't use. The words came out before I planned them. The room went quiet. Daniel looked at me, and for a second, the anger dropped. Something like calculation moved under his face. He sat down again. Softer now, sadder now, the next costume. Claire, he said, I know I hurt you. I said nothing. I panicked. Mallory came to me crying. She said she couldn't afford the appointments. She was afraid of losing the baby. I thought I could handle it quietly and then tell you when things settled. You told a ballroom I was unstable. I was trying to stop you from exposing something painful in public. Painful for whom? For everyone. You keep using that word. He leaned forward. Because I still believe in us. Evelyn nodded eagerly, relieved by the familiar script. Yes, that is what matters. I looked at Daniel's left hand. He still wore his wedding ring. Mine was upstairs in a clutch. Do you love her? I asked. He closed his eyes. It's complicated. No, it's inconvenient. That's different. His eyes opened. I stood. Email the document to Renee. Leave my house. Evelyn recoiled. Your house? Yes. Daniel's voice went flat. Don't start that. I didn't. My grandmother did when she kept your name off the deed. His face colored. I have lived here for 8 years. And Mallory has waited in the car for 10 minutes. We all endure things. He stood too. You think paperwork makes you untouchable? No, I think paperwork makes lies expensive. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your name is already on the door. I need. Be smart and stop fighting what is coming. I stared at it. Daniel watched me. What? He asked. I turned the screen toward him. He read it and went pale. Evelyn looked confused. Who is that? I looked out the front window. Mallory was sitting in the driver's seat of her car, phone in hand, staring directly at the house. I took a screenshot. Then I looked at Daniel. You may want to tell the mother of your child, I said. That threats look terrible in court. By Monday morning, Daniel had lost 3 things he thought were permanent: access to my medical portal, access to my money, and the ability to walk into my house without permission. He responded by wearing a better suit. That was Daniel's instinct. When cornered, polish the surface. I saw him outside the foundation office at 8:40 a.m., navy suit, white shirt, silver tie, hair perfect, expression grave. He looked like a man arriving to support his troubled wife through an unfortunate episode. I arrived 5 minutes later in black trousers, a white blouse, and my grandmother's watch. No wedding ring. Daniel's eyes dropped to my hand immediately. Claire, he said, stepping toward me. Before we go in, please think carefully. Once you accuse me in front of the board, you can't take it back. I know, this foundation matters to you. That's why I'm here. He lowered his voice. Mallory is under medical stress. If you drag her into this, and something happens to the baby, that is on you. There it was, the unborn child as weapon, shield, courtroom exhibit, and leash. I looked at him carefully. Do you hear yourself? His jaw tightened. I hear a husband trying to prevent his wife from making a vindictive mistake. No, you hear a man hoping I am still easier to scare than to respect. I walked past him. The emergency board meeting took place in the small conference room, not the grand hall. Nora sat at the head of the table. Thomas Greer and Elaine Porter sat together, both looking uncomfortable in the way people look when scandal interrupts their schedules. Renee sat beside me with a folder thick enough to change the temperature of the room. Daniel sat across from us. He had brought his friend lawyer, Brent Calloway, who had once handled a zoning dispute and apparently now believed himself qualified to explain my medical privacy to me. Nora opened the meeting. We are here to address governance concerns raised by Daniel Mercer regarding Claire Whitman Mercer's capacity to continue authorizing foundation health initiatives. Daniel folded his hands. I want to be clear. I did not request this lightly. Renee whispered, let him talk. So I did. Daniel spoke for 7 minutes. He was excellent. That was the part people rarely understand about men like Daniel. They are not cartoon villains. They do not enter rooms twirling knives. They sound reasonable. They use words like concern, privacy, strain, compassion. They make harm sound like care and control sound like responsibility. He told the board I had suffered emotionally due to fertility struggles. He said the gala incident had triggered a painful reaction. He said he worried I might damage the foundation's reputation by turning a personal family matter into a public accusation. He said he was willing, as my spouse, to help stabilize foundation operations until I recovered from what he had done to me. When he finished, Nora turned to me. Claire, I opened my folder. I did not explain my pain. I did not defend my grief. I did not ask to be believed because I was a good person. I placed facts on the table. At 2:18 p.m., Thursday, Daniel Mercer picked up medication from Greenridge Pharmacy under my legal name and date of birth. I did not authorize it. I was not pregnant. I was not resting at home. I was at the foundation office until 3:30 p.m., and then at the gala venue. Renee passed around copies of the transaction log. Thomas adjusted his glasses. Elaine went still. Daniel's face did not change, but Brent shifted in his chair. I continued. My medical portal shows a prenatal intake appointment 2 weeks ago under my name. I was in Chicago that day. I have flight records, presentation records, and hotel receipts confirming that. A medical release was uploaded with a signature that is not mine, authorizing Daniel to manage reproductive care information. Renee distributed the screenshots. Daniel finally spoke. This is a misunderstanding involving private medical support for someone vulnerable. Nora looked at him. Did you pick up medication under Claire's name? Daniel's lips pressed together. Brent leaned forward. My client should not answer questions that may involve third-party protected health information. Renee smiled politely. Your client raised Claire's alleged reproductive health status to challenge her governance authority. He does not get to use privacy. As both sword and shield, the room fell quiet. Nora's expression hardened. Daniel, pending legal review, you are removed from all informal advisory involvement in Foundation financial and health initiative discussions. Daniel's head snapped up. You can't do that. I just did. I'm Claire's husband. Nora looked at my bare left hand. That appears to be under review. For the first time that morning, Daniel looked openly furious. There, stage 1, a real consequence, not enough, but real. After the meeting, Renee and I drove to Greenridge Pharmacy together. The preservation letter had gone out Friday. Alicia had agreed to meet in the consultation room before her lunch break. She looked nervous when we arrived, but not uncertain. I want to help, she said, closing the consultation room door. I also want to keep my license. Renee placed a card on the small table. We will not ask you to disclose anything outside Claire's account without proper process. For today, we need to confirm what you personally observed involving a transaction under Claire's name. Alicia nodded. I sat beside Renee, hands folded. Alicia opened a printed statement she had prepared. Daniel Mercer came in Thursday at approximately 2:05 p.m. with a woman wearing a grey coat, blonde. She appeared nauseous and sat in the waiting chair twice. Daniel presented himself as Claire Mercer's husband and said he was picking up for his wife. I asked whether the patient had received counseling for a new progesterone prescription. He said, she's resting. She knows what she needs. I asked if Claire had any questions. He said, my wife doesn't need to know every detail. Just put it under the usual account. Hearing it again made my skin feel too tight. Renee asked, did the woman in the grey coat speak? Yes. Alicia said, when I mentioned possible dizziness, she said, I already know. I took it last time. Daniel looked at her sharply, then said she meant she had helped Claire before. My stomach turned. Last time there had been more than one appointment. More than one lie. Renee took notes. Is there video? Yes, we preserved it after your letter. I cannot release it without a subpoena or patient authorization through our legal process. But it exists. Good. Alicia looked at me. Claire, I should have pushed harder. No, I said, he gave you my name, my account, my relationship, and a prescription. This is not on you. Her eyes glistened. It felt wrong. It was. She gave Renee the contact for the pharmacy owner and confirmed the footage window. Then she hesitated. There is one more thing, she said. Renee's pen paused. Alicia looked at me. The prescription originally came through Greenridge Women's Clinic, but there was a note in the pharmacy system that said future refills could be picked up by spouse or authorized family coordinator. Family coordinator? I asked. I don't know. It's not a standard relationship label we use often. It may have come from the clinic side. Renee's eyes sharpened. Do you have the wording? Alicia slid over a printout with most of the clinical fields redacted. At the bottom, the note read, authorized family coordinator, Daniel Mercer. Patient requests discretion due to public role. Patient requests. I had requested nothing. My public role. My reputation used as the reason to hide their fraud. Renee's voice was calm. We will add this to the records request. We left the pharmacy through the side exit because Alicia did not want Daniel to see us if he came by. I did not blame her. Daniel had a way of making reasonable people feel rude for protecting themselves in the parking lot. Renee checked her phone. The clinic responded. She said, already, they claim they cannot discuss third-party matters, but they acknowledge receipt of the preservation demand. That sounds like nothing. It sounds like fear. Fear is a door. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the voicemail transcription begin to form. This is Zoe Banks from Greenridge Women's Clinic. Please don't call the front desk. I saw your name on the intake. I need to tell you something before they delete the note. I played it twice. Renee looked at me. Call from my office. We were back in her conference room 20 minutes later. Renee used a recorded legal line and identified herself. Zoe answered on the second ring, breathless. I can't talk long, she said. Renee's voice was gentle. Ms. Banks, are you safe to speak? Yes, I'm on break outside. What can you tell us? Zoe swallowed audibly. I checked in the patient listed as Claire Mercer 2 weeks ago, but the woman who came in was not Claire. I know because I saw Claire speak at a foundation training last year. I thought maybe the account had an old photo or name issue, but the husband did all the talking. My pulse beat in my throat. Renee asked, was the woman Mallory Lane? I don't know her name from the chart, but Daniel called her Mallory in the hallway. I closed my eyes. Zoe continued. She was nervous. He told her to let him handle it. When I asked for ID, he said his wife had left it in the car and showed a scanned copy on his phone. The front desk was busy. They accepted it. I know they shouldn't have. Was there a signature? Yes, intake consent and medical release. Signed by whom? The name said Claire Mercer. The woman signed it. The room tilted. Mallory had signed my name, not Daniel. Mallory. Renee's eyes met mine. Zoe's voice dropped. And there was something else. After the appointment, I heard Mallory say, what if she won't sign later? Daniel said, she will. She always does when I tell her it's for family. The air left my lungs, not because it surprised me, because it fit too perfectly. Renee said, Ms. Banks, we will need a formal statement. There are whistleblower protections. But you should also consider independent counsel if you fear retaliation. I just needed her to know, Zoe said, voice shaking. I'm sorry, it was wrong. The call ended. Renee stopped the recording and saved it twice. I sat very still. Daniel had used my love like a legal expectation. She will sign. She always does. Renee folded her hands. Claire, I'm okay. You don't have to be. I'm not okay, I said. But I'm useful. Her expression softened. That is not the same thing as okay. I know. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Daniel. Daniel, we need to talk tonight. Alone. No lawyers. No board. No drama. I can explain the real reason. I showed Renee. She read it and said, absolutely not. A second message arrived. Daniel, if you keep pushing, Mallory will tell everyone what you did to her at the pharmacy. I looked at the screen. Then another message came, from Mallory's unknown number. You think paperwork makes you safe. It doesn't. Daniel promised me the house before the baby comes, my grandmother's house. I forwarded it to Renee. Then I stood. Where are you going? She asked. To buy a recorder with a better microphone. Mallory chose the baby boutique on purpose. There were 5 places in town where a woman with money could buy a crib shaped like a moral statement, and Little Harbor Baby was the most visible. It sat on the corner of Bellamy Avenue with huge windows, soft lighting, and a front display full of cream blankets, polished wooden bassinets, and tiny sweaters folded like promises. Mallory texted me at 11:06 a.m. Mallory, if you want the truth, meet me at Little Harbor. Come alone. Daniel doesn't need to know. I was in Renee's office when it arrived. Renee read it and said, no, I'm going. No, you're not going alone. She said alone because she wants control. Yes, that is why you do not go. I leaned back in my chair. If I refuse, she changes the story. If you go, she may stage one. She already threatened the house. Renee studied me for a moment. You're not going to confront her. You're going to document her. Yes, you will not touch her. Gladly. You will not block her. No, you will stay in camera view. Absolutely. You will keep your phone recording in your coat pocket and the separate recorder in your bag. That's the plan. Renee sighed. I hate that you are learning quickly. I hate that it's useful. At 11:45, I walked into Little Harbor Baby wearing a beige coat and flat shoes. I had never bought anything there. During my second pregnancy, before the loss, I had stood outside the window once and looked at a mobile with wooden stars. I had told myself I would come back after the first trimester. I did not. Now a sales associate smiled at me from behind a counter filled with silver rattles and organic cotton. "Welcome in." "Thank you," I said. Mallory stood near the nursery furniture section, one hand resting on the rail of a white crib. She looked expensive in a way Daniel liked: soft camel coat, cream sweater, gold necklace small enough to seem tasteful. Her hair fell over one shoulder, and her stomach, still early but visible under the knit, was presented like evidence. She smiled when she saw me. I started the recorder inside my coat pocket and walked toward her. "You came," she said. "You asked. I wasn't sure you would. Daniel says you avoid hard conversations. Daniel says many things when the truth is inconvenient." Her smile sharpened. "You sound proud of yourself." "I sound awake." A woman choosing blankets nearby glanced at us, then politely moved away. "Good." Mallory had picked a public place, but not a loud one. Every word would carry. Mallory touched the crib rail. "Do you know how much this one costs?" "No, for $1,000. She laughed softly. "For something a baby will outgrow. Isn't that ridiculous?" "Very. Daniel said you wouldn't understand wanting to give a child the best." The sentence found the old wound and pressed. I looked at the crib, not at her. "Daniel also said you were picking up medication for a cousin." Her face flickered. Then she shrugged. "He was trying to protect me, with my name. You have no idea what it's like." I turned to her. "To be pregnant by someone else's husband?" "No, I don't." Her cheeks colored. A sales associate looked over. Mallory lowered her voice. "You think that makes you better than me?" "No, it makes me not you." Her eyes hardened. There she was, the woman beneath the trembling lip. "You had years with him," she said. "You had the house, the foundation, the family name. You couldn't even give him a child." My fingers went numb, but my voice stayed level. "Be careful." "Why?" "Because grief makes you sacred." "No, because cruelty makes people honest, and you seem close." She stepped nearer. I did not move. "Daniel loves this baby," she said. "Evelyn loves this baby, whether you like it or not. I am part of the family now. You're part of Daniel's consequences." She laughed, quiet and mean. "You still don't get it. Your name opens doors. Mine gives him what he wants." There it was, clean, usable. I let the silence sit. Mallory turned back to the crib, emboldened. "The clinic was easy. The pharmacy was easy. The insurance was easy. Daniel said you organized everything for him, all those files, all those passwords. You made it convenient. I trusted my husband. You trained him." That one nearly got through, not because it was true, because it was close enough to my own shame. I thought of every file I created, every bill I paid, every apology I made for Daniel's carelessness. I thought of the shared folder labeled household, my life arranged so neatly that anyone with access could steal it efficiently. Then I remembered Renee's voice, timeline first, emotions later. "What door do you need my name on?" I asked. Mallory's smile returned. "You saw my text." "Yes." She ran one finger along the crib rail. "Daniel says the Whitman house has the safest neighborhood, the best school district, and enough space for a nursery. He says you don't even use half the rooms." I stared at her. My grandmother's sewing room, my office, the blue guest room where I once placed the wooden star mobile in a drawer because I could not bear to return it. "You think you're moving into my house?" She gave me a pitying look. "Claire, be realistic. Are you going to rattle around in that place alone? Daniel wants his child raised there. Evelyn says family homes should hold children, not memories." It was strange. What finally made me angry enough to feel calm, not the affair, not the pregnancy, not even the forged signature. It was Evelyn assigning moral value to my rooms. I stepped closer, keeping my hands visible. "Mallory, listen carefully. Daniel cannot promise you a house he does not own." Her smile wavered. "Marriage means shared property, not that house. Daniel said you would say that. Did he also mention my grandmother's trust attorney?" Her eyes sharpened. I continued. "Did he mention the deed, the separate property clause, the trust restriction, the fact that he has no claim unless I voluntarily transfer interest?" Mallory's hand left the crib, He said you always cave, she said. I used to compromise. He said you would sign for family. He overestimated the word family. Her nostrils flared. You can pretend to be calm, but everyone knows what you are. Bitter, jealous, empty. There it was, the ugly center. I held her gaze. And yet you needed my name to get pills. She slapped me. The sound cracked across the boutique for half a second. The whole store froze. My cheek burned. My body reacted before my pride did. Muscles tightening, hand twitching. I did not lift it. Mallory's eyes widened. She had surprised herself, or she wanted it to look that way. Then she staggered backward and grabbed her stomach. Oh my God, she gasped. Why would you do that? The sales associate rushed over. Mallory bent slightly. She threatened me. I turned slowly toward the sales associate. Please call store security. I would also like you to preserve the camera footage from this aisle. Mallory looked up. Her fear this time was real. I took my phone from my pocket and stopped the recording. You recorded me, she whispered. I documented a conversation in a public retail store after you threatened my home, admitted to using my medical account, and slapped me. I didn't admit anything. I looked at the sales associate. Do you have cameras with audio? The woman looked shaken. Video only. I think. That's fine. Mallory straightened. Daniel will destroy you. No, I said. Daniel will try. Outside, rain had started again. Store security took our names. Mallory refused medical help after the sales associate offered to call an ambulance, which I noted carefully. She claimed stress, fear, harassment. I claimed nothing. I provided my name, my number, and Renee's card. By 1:00 p.m., I was back in Renee's office with a red mark on my cheek and the recording uploaded to 3 places. Renee listened without interrupting when Mallory's voice said, "Your name opens doors. Mine gives him what he wants." Renee paused the audio and looked at me. That is going to matter. She slapped me. That will matter too. She tried to make it look like I hurt her. Also useful. I frowned. Useful. Renee leaned back. Because now we know their next move. They are going to accuse you publicly of endangering a pregnant woman. My phone lit up. Jenna sent a screenshot. An anonymous post had appeared in a local donors forum. A prominent foundation director, reportedly unstable after infertility struggles, confronted and physically threatened a pregnant employee connected to her husband's firm. Witnesses say the pregnant woman was left shaken. There was no name. There did not need to be. Renee read it, then looked at my cheek. Stage 2, she said. What is stage 2? They are not denying anymore. They are trying to make you too radioactive to believe. My cheek throbbed. My phone buzzed again. Daniel, you should have left her alone. Now I can't protect you. I smiled without warmth. He still thought protection was something I wanted from him. The anonymous post spread faster than truth because lies travel lighter. By the time I reached the foundation office the next morning, 3 donors had asked for clarity, 2 board members had requested a temporary communications pause, and 1 woman who had hugged me after my second miscarriage sent a text saying, "I hope you're getting the help you need." The help I needed was a flamethrower. I settled for coffee, records, and a locked conference room. Jenna arrived at 8:15 carrying a paper bag from the bakery and the expression of a woman prepared to commit crimes in Kashmir. "I brought croissants," she said, "and rage." Croissants first. Healthy. I work for a women's health foundation, not a joyless foundation. She shut the door behind her and pulled out the chair across from me. "How bad is it?" I turned my laptop toward her. The donor forum post had been copied into private Facebook groups, then local gossip accounts, then a small business newsletter that described me as a non-profit figure facing questions. No one said my full name in the headline, but the comments did the work. "Isn't she the one from the gala pregnancy drama? Poor husband. Fertility issues can make people snap. If she really attacked a pregnant woman, she should step down. Why do rich women always weaponize victimhood?" Jenna's face went still. "I want names. I want proof." "You have proof." "I have proof for court. Public opinion wants theater." "Then give them theater." "Not yet." She leaned back, frustrated but listening. "Why not?" "Because Daniel expects me to react emotionally. If I post the recording now, he'll claim I edited it, invaded privacy, harassed a pregnant woman, anything that shifts the focus. I need the board stable first. I need the pharmacy footage preserved. I need the clinic records locked. I need him to believe the smear is working enough to get careless. Jenna stared at me. I hate how good you are at this. I learned from being married to him. My office phone rang. Nora. Claire, she said. Small conference room. 10 minutes. Bring what you have. The board meeting was smaller this time. Nora, Thomas, Elaine, Renee by phone, and me. Daniel had not been invited, which was progress. The atmosphere was not hostile, but it was cautious. Caution can feel like betrayal when you are the one bleeding. Thomas cleared his throat. Claire, you know I respect you. That was how men began sentences when respect was about to become conditional. But perception matters. The foundation serves vulnerable women. If there is an allegation that you confronted a pregnant woman in a retail store, even if the facts are unclear, we have to consider reputational risk. I folded my hands. I agree. That surprised him. Elaine looked at me. You do, yes. Reputational risk matters. So does factual risk. So does governance risk when a spouse removed from advisory discussions begins circulating claims that benefit his position. Thomas shifted. We don't know Daniel circulated anything. No, I said. We don't know yet. Nora's mouth twitched. I opened my laptop and connected to the conference screen. I'm going to show you a limited timeline, not the full legal file, not medical details about anyone else, only events involving my name, my accounts, and foundation governance. Renee's voice came through the speaker. For the record, Claire is voluntarily disclosing her own account records to the board for governance review. She is not waiving broader legal rights. I began. Slide 1, pharmacy call log from gala night. Slide 2, transaction record under my name. Slide 3, Daniel's signature. Slide 4, screenshot of my portal showing prenatal follow-up when I was not pregnant. Slide 5, flight records proving I was in Chicago during the intake appointment. Slide 6, forged authorization. Slide 7, Daniel's text. I did what I had to do because you make everything impossible. Thomas stopped moving. Elaine's face changed on slide 4. By slide 7, she looked ill. I did not play Mallory's recording. Not yet, I said. Yesterday, I met Mallory Lane in a public store at her request. She slapped me. Store security was called. Footage preservation has been requested. I did not touch her. I did not threaten her. I requested camera preservation on site. Thomas looked down at the table. Nora said, Daniel contacted me this morning to suggest Claire be placed on leave. Renee's voice sharpened. On what basis? He cited the online allegations and concern for foundation stability. Did he disclose that he signed for medication under Claire's name? No. Did he disclose that his alleged concern arises from events he personally caused? No. Nora looked at me. Claire, I am recommending that Daniel Mercer be barred from foundation events pending investigation. I am also recommending that all foundation communications regarding this matter go through counsel and that your authority remain intact. Elaine nodded immediately. Thomas hesitated. Nora looked at him. Thomas, he exhaled. Yes, I agree. There it was another cost. Daniel had tried to use public shame to move me out. Instead, he lost access to the foundation stage when the meeting ended. I stayed in the room while everyone left. Jenna slipped in afterward and closed the door. You won that one, she said. For now, take the win. I tried to. I really did. Then my phone rang. Evelyn. I almost let it go to voicemail. Then I remembered Renee's advice. When they escalate, let them speak. I answered and put her on speaker, recording from my laptop. Claire, Evelyn said, voice cold enough to frost glass. You need to come to my house tonight. No. A pause. She was not used to that word landing the first time. This family is meeting at 7. Daniel will be there. Mallory will be there. Brent will be there. We are going to resolve this before you ruin everyone. I won't attend a meeting with Daniel's mistress. That woman is carrying my grandchild, you've mentioned, and you are behaving like a jealous girl, not a wife. I'm behaving like someone whose identity was stolen. She scoffed, always with the legal words. Do you think a judge will care that your husband tried to help the mother of his child? Yes. Silence. Then Evelyn's voice dropped. Listen to me. You have had a comfortable life because Daniel gave you a family. Do not forget what you were before him. What was I before him? Alone in that big house with your dead grandmother's money. The room went quiet around me. Jenna's eyes filled with murder. I did not let mine fill with tears. Thank you, I said. Evelyn hesitated. For what? For finally saying the part you usually hide. I ended the call. Jenna exploded. I am driving to her house. No, she called your grandmother's legacy dead money. I know. She called you alone like it was a disease. I know, Claire. I looked at the paused recording on my laptop. She also confirmed the family meeting. Jenna stared at me. I saved the file at 6:40 p.m. Daniel arrived at my house instead of Evelyn's. I saw him on the doorbell camera. He stood under the porch light holding flowers. White roses, the same flowers he brought after he forgot our 5th anniversary dinner. I spoke through the camera. Why are you here? He looked up, startled. Claire, open the door. No, I'm not here to fight. Then leave. He looked over his shoulder, embarrassed by the possibility of a neighbor hearing him talk to a doorbell. I made mistakes. Plural. Good start. I want to fix this before lawyers make it worse. Lawyers didn't forge my signature. His face tightened. I didn't come to be attacked. You came to avoid consequences. He lifted the flowers. Can we just talk? No. His eyes hardened. You know, people are worried about you. Which people? Everyone. Names. Daniel. He stepped closer to the camera. You are alone in that house. Spiraling. Cutting off family. Accusing pregnant women. Embarrassing the foundation your grandmother built. Do you think she would be proud? There it was, the dead grandmother money, refined for emotional use. I felt something old and tender close its eyes inside me. Yes, I said, she would be proud I changed the locks. Daniel's face went slack with anger, then he smiled. It was not a kind smile. Fine, he said. Do it your way. Tomorrow, you'll receive formal papers. Don't say I didn't try to protect you. He placed the white roses on the porch and walked away. I watched from the upstairs window as he got into his car. Mallory was in the passenger seat. She leaned over and kissed him before he drove off. I saved the doorbell footage. Then I went downstairs, picked up the roses with kitchen tongs, dropped them into the trash, and opened the hidden folder called Recipes. I created a new folder, Smear Campaign. Inside it, I placed Evelyn's call, Daniel's doorbell threat, the donor posts, Mallory's boutique recording, and every message that tried to turn my stolen name into my instability. At 9:12 p.m., Renee emailed me, subject, draft divorce agreement from Daniel's counsel. I opened the attachment. The first line read, Claire Mercer acknowledges that the marriage has become strained due to her emotional volatility, infertility-related distress, and recent public conduct. I read it once. Then I read the property section. Daniel wanted the house. The divorce agreement Daniel sent was not a proposal. It was a confession with better formatting. He wanted the Whitman house transferred into a temporary joint occupancy arrangement for the stability of the expected child. He wanted mutual non-disparagement, which would silence me from discussing the pharmacy call, forged medical authorization, clinic appointment, or Mallory's role. He wanted me to acknowledge emotional volatility. He wanted each party to keep separate debts, except the joint cards I had already paid for years. He wanted no review of prior family transfers, and at the bottom, under confidential resolution, he wanted me to agree not to pursue civil or criminal claims regarding medical administrative misunderstandings arising during the marriage. Medical administrative misunderstandings. Forgery has many costumes. Renee read the agreement across from me the next morning and laughed once. Without humor. This is ambitious, she said. That sounds bad. It is bad for him. Desperate people overreach. He thinks I'll sign. He thinks you will panic at the word infertility. He thinks shame still governs you. I looked at the line again. Emotional volatility, infertility-related distress. Daniel knew exactly where to cut because I had once handed him the map. I want to respond, I said. We will. No, I said, I want to respond in person. Renee looked up. Explain. Evelyn demanded a family meeting. Daniel came to my house instead because he wanted private control. They still need me to sign. If I tell them I'll meet at my house tonight, they'll come. Why would we invite them into your house? Because they think it's theirs. Renee leaned back. I continued. They will say things there they won't say in your office. They'll feel entitled. Evelyn will push. Mallory will slip. Daniel will threaten. I want it recorded. Renee was silent for a long moment. You will not be alone. I know, I can be in the next room. They won't talk if they see you. Then Jenna, they know Jenna hates them. That is not exactly classified. I can have a private security officer outside. Doorbell camera on. Living room camera visible as home security. Phone recording. Renee considered. You tell them in writing the home has security recording. Fine. You do not block anyone from leaving. No, you do not stand between Mallory and a door. Gladly. You do not sign anything. I'm starting to enjoy that instruction. She did not smile. Claire, family pressure works because it hijacks the body. You may know the facts and still freeze when 3 people tell you you are cruel. I know. Do you? I looked down at my bare hand. I'm learning. At 6:55 p.m., I placed my phone on the side table, recording. The doorbell camera was active. A small indoor security camera sat openly on the bookshelf, angled toward the living room. Renee was parked 2 houses down with a legal pad and a promise to call if I texted one word. Now at 7:00, Daniel arrived with Evelyn, Brent Calloway, and Mallory. Mallory wore a pale blue dress and no coat, her pregnancy more visible now, whether naturally or by careful wardrobe. Evelyn carried a folder, Brent carried a leather briefcase, Daniel carried nothing he expected others to carry what mattered. I opened the door but did not step aside immediately. This home has active security recording. I said, you are entering with notice. Brent frowned. That's unnecessary. Then don't enter. Daniel gave him a look. Brent stopped talking. They came in. Mallory glanced around the foyer with naked curiosity. Her eyes lingered on the staircase, the antique mirror, the arched doorway to the sunroom. I saw her place herself there, rocking chair, nursery, family photos with my frames removed. My anger sharpened into something useful. We sat in the living room. I chose the chair nearest the door. Daniel and Brent took the sofa. Evelyn sat upright in my grandmother's wingback chair before I looked at her and said, not there. Her mouth opened. Excuse me, that was my grandmother's chair. Daniel snapped. Claire, I looked at Evelyn. Choose another seat. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Mallory lowered herself into the chair. The room went silent. Daniel closed his eyes. Evelyn whispered, Mallory. Mallory looked around, confused by the sudden tension, then stood quickly. I didn't know. No, I said. You didn't. She moved to the love seat. I stayed standing. Talk. Brent opened his briefcase. My client is prepared to offer a resolution that protects all parties. Your client being Daniel. Yes, not Mallory. Mallory's hand tightened over her stomach. Brent frowned. Ms. Lane is present because certain provisions affect her safety and privacy. Of course. Evelyn leaned forward. Claire. Stop performing. We all know why we're here. Yes. Daniel forged my signature and wants me to sign a paper saying I'm unstable. Daniel's face reddened. That is not fair. Read your agreement out loud then. Brent cleared his throat. I don't think theatrics are helpful, neither is fraud, but here we are. Evelyn slammed the folder onto the coffee table. Enough. You are not the only person hurt here. I looked at her. Who else was hurt by my stolen medical identity? My son is being dragged through the mud, by his own shoes. Mallory has been terrified. Mallory nodded, eyes wet. I looked at her. Of what? Accurate paperwork. Her tears stopped. Daniel stood. Do not bully her. Sit down. He blinked. You are in my house, I said. You came here to ask me for something. Sit down. He sat. That moment cost him more than money. Evelyn saw it. Mallory saw it. Brent saw it. Daniel saw them see it. Power shifted in rooms before papers caught up. Brent pushed the agreement across the coffee table. Claire, this avoids prolonged litigation. Daniel is willing to be generous. I did not touch it. He wants the house, for the child's stability, Evelyn said quickly. Surely you see that. No, Mallory's voice trembled. You would throw a baby out. I looked at her stomach, then her face. Your baby has never lived here, but Daniel has, she said, and yet he never owned it. Daniel's voice went low. Don't humiliate me. I almost admired the lack of self-awareness. You brought your pregnant mistress, your mother, and a lawyer into my living room to demand my house. I said, humiliation came with you. Brent interjected, the legal question of marital contribution. The deed is separate property. I said, The trust restriction prevents transfer under marital pressure. Daniel knows that because Renee told him before we married. Brent stopped. Daniel looked at him. He had not told his own lawyer. Renee would have enjoyed that. Evelyn gripped her purse. Claire, that house is wasted on you. There it was again. Say more. I said she did. Anger makes people generous. You fill it with files and foundation work and grief. Daniel deserves a real family. A child deserves a yard. Mallory can give this house life. Mallory whispered. Evelyn. No, Evelyn said, emboldened. Someone should say it. Claire has punished this family for years because she couldn't move on from what her body couldn't do. The room went dead. Even Brent looked down. Daniel did not defend me. That was the last thread. Cut so cleanly I barely felt it. I looked at my husband. Do you agree? He rubbed his jaw. I think Mom is emotional. That's not an answer. He looked tired, annoyed, cornered, not ashamed. I think, he said carefully, we all made sacrifices because of your pain. My pain, not our losses, not our marriage, not our doctors, not our grief. My pain. I stood, walked to the side table, and picked up my phone. The recording timer glowed. Brent's eyes widened. Were you recording this? I notified you of security recording when you entered. That is not the same as consent to audio. Then you should have left when I said the home was recording. Daniel stood. Delete it. No, Claire, no. He moved toward me. I did not back away. The security guard outside has instructions to call police if I don't answer his check-in text in 2 minutes. Daniel stopped. Mallory looked toward the window. Evelyn's face went pale. You hired security against your own family. I hired security against people trying to take my house. Brent closed his briefcase. We should leave. Finally, a useful thought. Daniel pointed at me. You are making this impossible. No, I am making it documented. Mallory stood carefully. Her eyes had changed again. No tears now. Just calculation and fear. Daniel, let's go. Evelyn rose too, shaking with rage. You will regret this. When you are old and alone in this house, you will regret choosing pride over family. I walked to the front door and opened it. I would rather be alone in a house that knows my name than surrounded by people stealing it. Nobody answered. They filed out. Daniel last at the threshold. He turned. For 1 second, I saw the man from our wedding photos, not because he was there, but because my memory betrayed me. He said, I did love you. I looked at him. No, I said, you loved being forgiven by me. His face closed. I shut the door. Then I texted Renee. Now, but not because I needed rescue. Because I had evidence. She called immediately. Are you safe? Yes. Did they talk? All of them. Good. I want to speak at the charity press event. A pause. The annual funding announcement. She asked. Yes. Daniel will try to attend. I know. Mallory might too. I hope she does. Renee was quiet. Then she said. Claire, what are you planning? I looked at the agreement Daniel had left on my coffee table by mistake. His demand for my silence. His demand for my house. His demand that I call my own violation a misunderstanding. I'm going back under the chandeliers. I said. The second charity event was smaller than the gala, but sharper. The annual funding announcement took place in the same ballroom, under the same chandeliers, with fewer flowers and more cameras. Reporters attended because the Whitman Foundation was announcing a major rural maternal care expansion. Donors attended because donors like to see their names near good news. Board members attended because scandal had turned governance into theater, and everyone wanted to know who would still be standing when the lights came on. Daniel was not invited. He came anyway. I saw him near the back entrance 15 minutes before the program began, arguing with a security officer in a low voice. He wore a charcoal suit and the expression of a man who believed doors should remember his face. Nora stood beside me near the stage steps. Want him removed? Not yet. She studied me. That is a dangerous phrase. I know. Mallory arrived 5 minutes later with Evelyn. That surprised me. But only for a second. Daniel needed an audience for whatever performance he had planned, and Mallory needed proof that she had not been pushed back into shadows. She wore a fitted ivory dress under a soft blue coat. Her pregnancy now impossible to miss. Evelyn held her elbow as if escorting royalty. The room noticed. Of course it did. Whispers moved faster than servers. There she is. That must be the pregnant one. Is Claire really speaking? Daniel looks awful. Good. No, not good. Interesting. I stood behind the stage curtain and listened to my own life turn into an event. Renee checked the laptop connected to the main screen. Final consent review. You are disclosing your own records, your own account access, your own signature, Daniel's communications to you, and audio recorded in your home after notice. For Mallory, we use only her direct statements from the public boutique recording and the text she sent. You, we do not disclose medical details from her chart. Understood. You do not speculate about paternity beyond Daniel's own admission. Understood. You do not call her names. I never needed to. Renee looked at me then. Are you ready? No, but ready is not always a feeling. Sometimes it is a file folder, a clear voice, and the decision not to run. I nodded. Nora opened the program at 10:00 a.m. She spoke about rural clinics, maternal mortality gaps, transportation barriers, and the Foundation's commitment to safe care. Her voice was steady. The room settled. People wanted the comfort of mission. They wanted the scandal to stay politely outside the speech. Then Nora said, before we announce the next funding phase, our program director, Claire Whitman, will address a matter of governance, identity, and medical trust that directly concerns the values of this foundation. Whitman, not Mercer. The room heard it. Daniel heard it. His head lifted. I walked onto the stage. The lights were brighter than I remembered. The chandeliers looked less romantic from beneath them, more like suspended glass knives. I stepped to the podium and placed both hands on either side. My left hand was bare. Good morning, I said. My name is Claire Whitman. A murmur. I waited. Not long. Just enough for the name to settle. This foundation was built on a simple principle. No woman should have her health, her body, or her name handled without her knowledge and consent. Daniel moved near the back wall. Security shifted closer. I continued. At our gala last week, I received a call from Greenridge Pharmacy. Because the call concerned my own medical account, I am going to play the relevant portion now. Renee clicked. The ballroom speakers carried Alicia's careful voice. Mrs. Mercer, your husband picked up your pregnancy pills under your name this afternoon. The room went silent, just as it had before, but this silence was different. The first silence had been shock. This one was attention. My voice followed on the recording. Can you repeat what medication was picked up? Alicia, progesterone capsules, prenatal folate, and nausea medication. The prescription was listed under Claire Mercer. Your husband, Daniel Mercer, picked it up. Renee stopped the audio. I looked up. Daniel's face was grey. Mallory's hand had tightened around Evelyn's. I said, I was not pregnant. I had not requested those medications. I had not authorized my husband to pick them up. I had not attended a prenatal intake. I had not signed a reproductive medical release. The screen changed. Transaction record. My name. Daniel's signature. A photographer raised his camera. Click. Daniel stepped forward. Claire. Security moved. I looked at him. You will have a chance to speak through counsel. That sentence landed beautifully. I turned back to the room. This is the transaction record from my pharmacy profile. This is Daniel Mercer's signature. This is the timestamp, 2:18 p.m., Thursday. The next slide appeared. My medical portal then showed a prenatal follow-up appointment under my name. I was not pregnant. I was not in town for the intake appointment. Here are my flight records showing I was in Chicago at the time the appointment occurred. Slide, flight record, slide, clinic appointment, slide, forged authorization. This is the medical release uploaded to my account. The signature is not mine. Elaine, sitting in the front row, covered her mouth. Thomas looked at the floor. Nora watched Daniel. I continued. I will not disclose another person's private medical chart. I do not need to. The issue before this foundation is not another woman's pregnancy. It is the use of my identity, my insurance, my records, and my public role without my consent. Mallory stood. I can't listen to this, she said, voice breaking. Every head turned. Evelyn pulled her down. Sit. Mallory shook her off. No, she's making me sound like a criminal. I looked at her. Mallory, this is not a conversation. You followed me to the pharmacy. I went to my pharmacy. You attacked me at the boutique. Renee clicked the remote. The screen did not show video. It showed a transcript with timestamps. Then audio played. Mallory's voice filled the room. Your name opens doors. Mine gives him what he wants. A visible shiver moved through the audience, my voice on the recording. What door do you need my name on, Mallory? Daniel says the Whitman house has the safest neighborhood, the best school district, and enough space for a nursery. The audio stopped. Mallory's face drained. Daniel closed his eyes. I said, that recording was made in a public retail store after Mallory Lane requested a meeting with me. Store footage has been preserved. I did not touch her. She struck me. Then an anonymous smear began circulating that I had endangered a pregnant woman. A reporter near the aisle typed rapidly. Evelyn stood. This is indecent. I looked at her. She was trembling with rage, but beneath it, fear. Not fear for me, not fear for truth, fear that the family language had stopped working in public. I said, Evelyn Mercer, at my home, after being notified of security recording, you said the Whitman house was wasted on me and that Mallory could give it life. Her face went white. Renee did not play that audio. We did not need it yet. Evelyn sat. Daniel pushed past security's first warning. This is my child you're turning into a spectacle. I looked at him for a long moment. He had chosen the wrong sentence. No, I said, you did that when you used your wife's name to hide the child's care. The room shifted, not dramatically, no gasps, no cinematic applause, just the subtle movement of recognition. People understood suddenly that his outrage was not innocence, it was ownership under threat. Daniel pointed toward the screen. This is a private marital issue. I turned to the slide behind me. It changed to his text. I did what I had to do because you make everything impossible. Below it, another, if you keep pushing, Mallory will tell everyone what you did to her at the pharmacy. Then another, you should have left her alone. Now I can't protect you. I faced the room again. This became a governance issue when Daniel Mercer contacted board members to suggest I be removed from Foundation Authority due to a reproductive health crisis he knew did not exist. Nora stood. The room quieted further. As chair of the board, she said, I confirm that Daniel Mercer contacted members regarding Claire Whitman's capacity and Foundation Authority, based on materials reviewed by counsel. Mr. Mercer has been removed from all advisory involvement and barred from Foundation financial discussions, effective immediately. The board recognizes Claire Whitman as sole authorized representative for Whitman Family Health Initiatives. A sound moved through the room this time. It was not gossip, it was the sound of a door closing in Daniel's face. Mallory started crying, not softly now, hard, angry tears. Daniel turned toward her. Mallory, not now. She stared at him. Not now, she's ruining everything. Stop talking, he snapped. Too late. Mallory's face twisted. You promised me the house, you promised Evelyn already agreed, you said Claire would sign because she always signs when it's for family. The room inhaled. There it was, the sentence Zoe had heard, the sentence Mallory now gave everyone. Daniel looked like he might be sick. Evelyn whispered, Mallory, sit down. Mallory realized what she had done. She looked at the reporters, the cameras, the donors, the board, then at me. For a moment, I saw the fear of someone who had believed she was stealing from a ghost and found a living woman in the house. I leaned toward the microphone. Thank you for confirming that, I said. Daniel did not leave the ballroom with dignity. He tried, that was the important part. He straightened his jacket, told Mallory to stop crying, told Evelyn to breathe, told security he was leaving voluntarily, and walked toward the side exit with the stiff posture of a man imagining cameras behind him. But dignity requires more than posture. It requires not being followed by your pregnant mistress shouting, you said she would be gone by June, while your mother hisses, you stupid girl. In front of reporters, I watched from the stage until Renee touched my elbow. Enough, she said. I looked at her. Is it, for today's performance? Yes. For the legal part? No. The funding announcement still happened. That mattered to me more than I expected. Nora took the podium after a short recess and spoke with the calm ferocity of a woman who had survived 3 recessions and 2 husbands. The rural maternal care expansion was approved. 2 donors increased their pledges before lunch. One of them, the woman who had texted that she hoped I got help, approached me with wet eyes and said, I'm sorry I believed the wrong story so quickly. I wanted to say it was fine, it was not, so I said, thank you for saying that. It was enough. By 3:00 p.m., the local business journal had published a careful article, Foundation Director alleges medical identity misuse by spouse. Board removes spouse from advisory role by 4:30. Mercer Development issued a statement saying Daniel Mercer was taking personal leave to address a family matter by 5:15. Daniel called Renee's office by 5:22. Brent Calloway withdrew as his counsel. Renee told me this while I sat in her conference room eating almonds from a paper cup because I had forgotten lunch. He withdrew. I asked, yes, can lawyers do that? With notice? Yes, especially when clients fail to disclose material facts and then create new problems in front of cameras. I pictured Brent's face when Mallory yelled about the house. He did look surprised. He looked like a man realizing his invoice would not cover the reputational risk. I laughed. It came out tired. Renee placed a new folder in front of me. Daniel's new attorney contacted me. Already. Actual family law firm this time. Less dramatic. More expensive. What do they want? To settle. I looked at the folder but did not open it. He wanted my house yesterday. He is no longer asking for the house. The sentence moved through me slowly. Not joy. Not relief, recognition. Paper did not heal betrayal, but paper could stop it from entering rooms it did not own. I opened the folder. The new proposal was still insulting in places. Daniel wanted mutual privacy. Daniel wanted no admission of wrongdoing. Daniel wanted a structured payment plan for marital debts he had helped create. Daniel wanted me to agree not to further publicly discuss the matter. I turned pages until I reached property, the Whitman house. Confirmed separate property of Claire Whitman, no claim by Daniel Mercer. I read the line 3 times. Renee watched me. We are not accepting as drafted, I know, but that line stays. Yes. We also pursue reimbursement for unauthorized charges, attorney's fees tied to the forged authorization, and a written acknowledgement that you did not authorize medical activity under your name. Will he sign that? Not today. He will after the clinic and pharmacy investigations mature. What about criminal charges? You filed the identity theft report this morning. The detective will review. The pharmacy and clinic have compliance obligations. Insurance fraud may involve the carrier. We do not control all of that. Mallory, she may face consequences through the clinic records, the boutique incident, the employer, and whatever statement she gives. Do not make her the center. Daniel made vows to you. Daniel had access to your documents. Daniel used his status as husband. I know, but I thought of Mallory's hand on the crib, her voice saying, you trained him, her belief that my history was a room she could redecorate. Renee's voice softened. Claire, consequences are not always symmetrical. That frustrates people, but losing the lie can be a very large loss. It was Mallory's lie had been that she was the hidden beloved, the chosen future, the fragile mother. Protected by a powerful man. In one morning, she had become a woman on tape admitting another woman's name opened doors. Daniel's lie had been larger. He had been the good husband, concerned spouse, foundation ally, responsible future father, exhausted son. Now he was a man whose signature sat under my pregnancy medication at 6:00 p.m. I went to Greenridge Pharmacy. I did not need medication. I needed to stand there without shaking. Alicia saw me and came around the counter. I watched the press event online. Was that unprofessional? Probably, she said. I took my break. I smiled. She handed me a sealed envelope. This is the formal patient transaction copy you requested. Legal has the preservation materials. Also, your profile has been locked with a verbal password and note. No spouse pickup. No family coordinator. No exceptions. The words felt like clean water. No family coordinator. I repeated. No exceptions. Thank you. Alicia looked emotional, when he came in. I thought maybe I was being judgmental. People have complicated families, surrogates, blended relationships, privacy needs. I told myself not to assume. You tried to be kind. I should have tried to be careful. Kind and careful should not have to fight, I said. She nodded. We're changing our pickup verification training because of this. I did not expect that to hit me as hard as it did. Something useful from the wreckage outside. I sat in my car and let myself cry for 9 minutes. I set a timer because grief, if left unsupervised, can flood the whole house. When the timer ended, I wiped my face and drove to the law office for the settlement call. Daniel joined by video from what looked like a hotel room, not our house, Not his office, a hotel room with beige curtains and bad lighting. He looked older than he had that morning. His hair was still styled, but his face had lost its smooth confidence. For 8 years, I had seen him in kitchens, boardrooms, airports, hospital waiting rooms, and bed. I had never seen him look temporary. His attorney, a woman named Marcia Bell, spoke first. "We're here to discuss interim arrangements," Renee said. "We're here to correct the false framework in your client's first proposal." Daniel looked at me through the screen. "Claire, can we talk without this tone?" "No," I said. He flinched. Marcia stepped in. "My client acknowledges that mistakes were made in handling certain medical logistics." Renee's eyebrows lifted. "No," Marcia paused. "Excuse me, we are not calling forged authorization, false portal use, and prescription pickup under Claire's name medical logistics." Daniel rubbed his eyes. "I was trying to help Mallory. I spoke before Renee could." "Then why did you tell the board I was unstable?" He looked at me. No answer. "Why did you request temporary authority over Foundation Health initiatives?" His jaw tightened. "Why did your divorce draft call my identity theft a medical administrative misunderstanding?" Marcia glanced at Daniel. He looked away. Renee smiled slightly. "We'll need revised language." The call lasted 90 minutes. Daniel lost something in almost every section. Exclusive use of the Whitman house, mine, all entry codes, keys, and access devices returned within 48 hours, unauthorized family charges documented for reimbursement review, no spousal medical authority, no claim to foundation voting rights, no non-disparagement preventing me from discussing identity theft, forged documents, or foundation governance, no emotional volatility clause, no infertility-related distress clause. When Renee read that deletion aloud, my eyes stung. Daniel saw for a moment. He looked almost human. "Claire," he said softly, "I didn't mean for it to sound like that." I stared at him through the screen. "You sent it in writing." He swallowed. "The lawyer drafted it. You approved it." He had no answer. "That was the shape of our marriage at the end." Daniel hurt me. Hired someone to format the hurt, and then blamed the font at 8:12 p.m. We ended the call with no final settlement but a signed interim order drafted for court submission. Renee leaned back in her chair. "You did well. I feel sick. That is not evidence you did badly." I kept waiting for him to say something that sounded like love. Renee's face softened. He said mistakes. I said, logistics. Pressure. Help. He never said he stole my name. Some people confess only by what they refuse to call things. I nodded. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. "Daniel, I'm outside the house. I need 5 minutes. Please." My whole body went cold. Renee saw my face. "What?" I showed her. She stood immediately. "You are not going there alone. It's my house." "Yes, and he is waiting at it." I looked at the text again. "Daniel, I know I lost control. I know I hurt you. Please let me come home." The word made my stomach turn. I typed back one sentence. "You have 48 hours to return your keys through counsel." His reply came fast. "Daniel, Claire, don't do this. Mallory lied about some things. The baby may not even be mine." I stared at the screen. There it was. When love failed, when control failed, when public pity failed, Daniel reached for betrayal of the woman he had used to betray me. Mallory had become inconvenient. I felt no triumph, only clarity. I showed Renee. She read it and said, "Save that." I did. Then I turned off the phone screen. "Take me home," I said. Daniel was still outside the house when Renee drove me home. He stood near the porch steps under the light, hands in his coat pockets, shoulders hunched against the cold. For a moment, through the windshield, he looked like a man waiting for forgiveness in a movie where music would tell the audience he deserved it. There was no music. There was Renee in the driver's seat, a private security officer parked at the curb, and me holding a folder that proved the house had never belonged to him. "Do you want me to speak?" Renee asked. "No." "Do you want me beside you?" "Yes." We got out together. Daniel looked from Renee to me and let out a bitter laugh. "Of course. You brought a lawyer to your own porch." "I brought a witness." His face tightened. "Claire, please." He had used my name 1,000 ways. In bed, at galas, on forms, in excuses, in lies. "Please, Claire, come on. Claire, don't be difficult. Claire, think of my mother. Claire, think of the family. Claire, think of the baby." Claire, that night, My name sounded different, it belonged to me again. You need to leave, I said. I will, just listen first. No, he stared. No, I lost my advisory role today. I know, Mercer Development suspended me. I saw the statement. Mallory is losing her job. That is between Mallory and her employer. My mother won't stop calling. Block her. His mouth opened, then closed for 1 second, absurdly. I saw the old Daniel who expected me to solve even the problems created by hurting me. He stepped closer. Renee shifted. The security officer opened his car door. Daniel stopped. I know you hate me, he said. I don't. He looked relieved too quickly. I continued. Hate would still organize my life around you. His relief died. I looked at the porch behind him. My grandmother had planted the boxwoods herself. She used to sit on the steps in summer with iced tea and tell me that a woman should never confuse endurance with virtue. I had forgotten, or I had pretended not to hear because loving Daniel required so much endurance that I needed it to mean something. I don't hate you, I said. I am done participating in you. His eyes reddened. I panicked. Yes, I was scared. Yes, Mallory pushed. My mother pushed. The foundation pressure, the money, the clinic contract. Everything was closing in. I waited. He swallowed. I made one terrible decision and then I had to keep covering it. No, I said, you made a decision every time you touched my name. He looked down. The clinic intake, I said, the scanned ID, the forged authorization, the pharmacy pickup, the gala lie, the board calls, the smear, the divorce draft, the house demand. Those were not one mistake. They were a system. Rain began lightly. Almost politely. Daniel's hair darkened at the edges. She might have lied to me, he said, about the dates, about the baby. I don't even know anymore. I felt a tired sadness move through me, not for him exactly, for the woman I had been, who would have heard pain in his voice and stepped toward it like a duty. That is your problem, I said. He flinched. You don't mean that. I do, Claire. I don't have anywhere to go tonight. The sentence tried to enter through an old door. I closed it. You have a hotel, you have your mother, you have your attorney, you have all the people you chose over me. I chose badly. Yes, doesn't that matter? It matters to your future choices. It does not reopen my door. He looked past me toward the house. 8 years. I know. We lived here. Yes, we tried for a baby here. The cruelty of that was softer than Evelyn's, but still cruelty. He brought the dead into the rain and hoped I would make room for him beside them. Renee's hand moved slightly at her side, not touching me. Just there. I answered him carefully. We also grieved here. And while I was grieving, you learned which words could make me quiet. You don't get to use them anymore. His face crumpled. For years I had wanted Daniel to cry for what he did to me. I thought his tears would prove I mattered. Standing on the porch that night, I learned his tears could still be about himself. I'm sorry, he said. The words arrived too late and too small. What are you sorry for? I asked. He looked confused. I waited. For hurting you, he said. How? He rubbed his face. Claire, how? I should not have used your name, and I should not have lied at the gala, and I should not have let Mom say those things. You didn't let her, I said. You agreed with her. He closed his eyes. And Mallory, I should not have brought her into our life. She was not whether. Daniel, you did not bring her in. You built a place for her with my documents. He had no answer. That was answer enough. I took an envelope from my folder. This is a formal notice. Through counsel, you will return all keys, garage remotes, house documents, and any copies of my identification. You will not enter the property. You will not contact me directly except through attorneys. You will preserve all communications, files, and devices related to my medical information. He stared at the envelope. You're serving me on our porch. My porch. The correction landed. He took the envelope with a shaking hand. For a moment, he looked like he wanted to tear it up. Then he looked at Renee, at the security officer, at the camera above the door, and slipped it into his coat. You've changed, he said. I almost smiled. No, I stopped translating myself into someone useful to you. The rain grew harder. Daniel looked at me one last time. Maybe he expected softness. Maybe he expected a final question. Maybe he expected me to ask whether he had loved Mallory, whether the baby was his. Whether any part of us had been real, I did not need those answers from him anymore. He walked down the steps at the driveway. He turned back. Claire, I waited. What am I supposed to do now? There it was, the truest question he had asked me in years. I looked at the man who had used my name because he thought I would always clean up the consequences. I don't know, I said. Ask someone whose life you haven't been outsourcing. He left. Renee exhaled beside me. That was a line. It was overdue. We watched his taillights disappear. Then I went inside and locked the door. The house did not feel empty. It felt like it had been holding its breath and could finally exhale. The next morning, a locksmith arrived at 8:00. He was a cheerful man named Lewis who told me more than I needed to know about smart locks and battery backups. I listened to every word. Practical details felt holy. New locks, new codes, new camera access, new mailbox key. At 10:30, a courier delivered Daniel's keys to Renee's office. Not all of them, of course not. He forgot the garage remote and one side door key. Renee sent a formal deficiency notice within the hour. By 3:00, the rest arrived at 4:15. Evelyn called from a blocked number. I did not answer. She left a voicemail anyway. You have destroyed this family. Daniel is not eating. Mallory is hysterical. I hope that house keeps you warm when no one else will. I saved it, sent it to Renee, and blocked the number at 5:00. Jenna came over with soup, wine, and a label maker. A label maker, I asked, for reclaiming things. She labeled the pantry shelves first because she said chaos was how men found excuses to ask where things were. Then she labeled a file box, Daniel's consequences. Then she labeled a small basket by the door, keys that belong to people who respect Emmy. I laughed so hard I had to sit down on the stairs. Then I cried. Jenna sat beside me without touching me until I leaned into her. I feel stupid, I whispered. You were betrayed. That is not the same thing. I made it easy. You made a life. He made a weapon out of it. I closed my eyes. That distinction mattered. The legal process did not become easy. It became structured. Daniel's attorneys tried 3 more versions of no admission. Renee returned 3 versions of absolutely not. The medical identity theft report moved from intake to active review. Greenridge Clinic placed 2 employees on administrative leave pending compliance investigation. Zoe gave a formal statement through proper channels. Alicia's pharmacy updated its spouse pickup policy. Mercer Development removed Daniel from the clinic construction proposal and later accepted his resignation, which everyone understood was not voluntary enough to be dignified. Mallory disappeared from public view for a while. Then she posted a photo of a sunset with the caption, "Protecting my peace." Jenna sent it to me with 17 skull emojis. I did not respond to Mallory. Her peace was no longer my jurisdiction. The divorce was finalized in a courthouse conference room with beige walls and bad coffee. Daniel sat across from me in a suit that no longer looked like armor. He had lost weight, or maybe he had lost the illusion that filled rooms around him. The final agreement was clean. The Whitman house remained mine. My foundation role remained mine. Daniel waived any claim to Whitman trust assets. He accepted responsibility for unauthorized use of my medical identity in the civil settlement. Language, carefully worded but real. He agreed to reimburse specific unauthorized family charges. He agreed to no direct contact. There was no emotional volatility clause, no infertility clause, no silence clause covering my own story. When it was time to sign, Daniel hesitated. His pen hovered over the page for 8 years. I had watched his hesitation become my labor. If Daniel did not want to make a call, I called. If Daniel did not want to apologize, I softened the room. If Daniel did not want to decide, I carried the uncertainty until it looked like patience. This time, I did nothing. He signed, then I signed. Claire Whitman, not Mercer. My hand did not shake. Outside the courthouse, Daniel followed at a distance until Renee turned and gave him one look. He stopped. Claire, he called. I turned. Not because he deserved it, but because I was no longer afraid a word from him would pull me backward. He stood under the courthouse awning, smaller than I remembered. Was any of it real? For a moment, I saw us younger. Daniel laughing in my grandmother's kitchen. Daniel carrying my heels after a wedding because my feet hurt. Daniel crying the first time the doctor could not find a heartbeat. Or maybe only looking like he might cry because I needed him to. Yes, I said. His face changed. What I gave was real. I said, That is why I'm taking the rest of it back. I walked away before he could answer. 3 weeks after the divorce, Greenridge Pharmacy called again. This time, I was in my office at the foundation, reviewing applications for the new True Name Medical Access project. We had created it after the scandal, not as a monument to my pain, but as a practical service: legal clinics, patient portal education, identity theft support, training for pharmacies and small clinics, emergency grants for women whose documents had been controlled by spouses, parents, employers, or partners. My phone lit up. Greenridge Pharmacy. For 1 second, my body remembered the ballroom. Then I answered. Claire Whitman speaking. Alicia's voice came through, warm and professional. Hi. Claire, this is Alicia from Greenridge Pharmacy. I'm calling to confirm your new profile security settings are active. No authorized pickups, no family coordinator, verbal password required. Your account is secure. I closed my eyes. Secure, a small word, a large mercy. Thank you, I said. And Claire, yes. We had our first training session with the new policy yesterday. It helped. I looked through the office window. Outside, Nora was speaking with a young program officer near the conference room. Jenna had sent flowers that morning with a card reading, "To the woman who kept her own name." My grandmother's watch ticked against my wrist. I'm glad, I said when the call ended. I did not cry. I opened the Foundation Project folder and typed the first sentence of the public program note myself. A name is not a convenience. It is not a marital shortcut, a family resource, or a place to hide someone else's lie. A name is a boundary. I paused, then I added, mine is Claire Whitman. That evening, I went home to the Whitman house. The porch light came on when I reached the steps. The boxwoods smelled green from rain. The windows glowed softly. Inside, the rooms were not empty. They were waiting. I walked through each one. The dining room where Daniel had pushed papers toward me. The living room where Evelyn said Mallory could give the house life. The hallway where my grandmother's mirror reflected me back without a ring. The blue guest room where the wooden Star mobile still sat in a drawer. I opened the drawer. For a long time, I simply looked at it. Then I took the mobile out and held it in both hands. It no longer felt like a promise broken by my body. It felt like an object. Wood, string, small painted stars. Tender, yes. Painful, yes. But not a verdict. I carried it downstairs and placed it on my desk, not in a nursery, not hidden, a memory allowed to exist without ruling the house. At the front door, I changed the small brass nameplate. For 8 years, it had read the Mercer's. I unscrewed it carefully. Behind it, the paint was a slightly different shade. I cleaned the space with a cloth, waited for it to dry, and attached the new plate Lewis had recommended when he changed the locks. Whitman House. I stepped back. The house looked the same to anyone passing by, but I knew the difference. No stolen names inside, no borrowed authority, no soft voice telling me to smile while the room rewrote me. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number. For a second, I thought Daniel had found another way through. The message read, "This is Zoe Banks. I heard about the True Name Project. Thank you for making something good out of what they did." I typed back, "Thank you for telling the truth when it was risky." Then I placed the phone face down. I made tea in my grandmother's kitchen. I sat in her chair, the one Mallory had tried to occupy without knowing why the room rejected her. Rain tapped against the windows. The house settled around me, old wood and clean locks and quiet air. I did not feel victorious in the loud way people imagine revenge. I felt returned. There is a kind of freedom that does not announce itself. It arrives when nobody is asking you to explain why you deserve your own door. It arrives when your phone rings and you no longer fear which version of you someone else has invented. It arrives when the name on your records, your house, your work, and your life all match the woman breathing inside your skin. Daniel lost my forgiveness. Mallory lost the lie that my life was an empty space she could enter. Evelyn lost the daughter-in-law she could shame into paying, hosting, smoothing, and suffering. I lost the marriage I kept myself, and when I turned off the downstairs lights that night, locked my own door, and walked upstairs under my own name, I finally understood that keeping myself was not the smaller thing, it was everything.